Well, I just said that I debuted in Arkansas this past weekend, and ironically, someone that saw me in Dallas at SOAR Championship Wrestling went to Arkansas to see me again. And they were talking about how they've been seeing me with the TNA extra stuff, and they were talking about how they can see me being in TNA and they think that I'm going to make it within a few years. And I had a fan just randomly walk up and tell me this. So earlier when I was talking about music and how the people would come up to me and tell me, your song really changed my life, or this is the equivalent to that. You know what I mean? On the wrestling side. So like to really have someone walk up to me and tell me that they believe in what I'm selling and they think that I can make it on the next level. We have to think that because we have to be confident or else we'll never get anywhere. But for somebody else to really tell you, it kind of puts it in perspective for you that, hey man, we're on to something here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, what the Ethan? Thanks. Hey guys. Look at these guys. Oh, there's Mo. There's Teen. Oh, good to see you. The main guy though is Marcello De'Campos in the program. How are you?
What's good with you, bro?
Good. So it came out of nowhere. But anyways, the one thing, of course, that kind of came into mind was being part of Papa Don Ray Campos's family. As someone in that family, what was it like seeing him work within the family when he wrestled back?
It was a unique experience because on one end, this is my uncle that I get to see like do something that I get to watch people on TV do. So it was like a really cool feeling, but it also was like a little bit of a different feeling where it's not so much of that starstruck stuff because that's my uncle and I'm used to him. I see him all the time. You know what I mean? So it was always kind of like a weird, unique experience of, seeing him do his thing and then, but then seeing like the at home Papa Don versus the one that you see in the ring. It's two different people. So it was always fun to see him turn that character on and stuff like that, and just the things that he did in his career. Just being able to sit back and watch it as I grew up, it was an honor, and it definitely was an inspiration for me to wrestle today, for sure.
What was the one unique personality as Papa Don?
The one unique thing about Papa Don, what you would have to know his character coming in. He was a heel, man. He used to piss a lot of people off. He worked a lot of people, and that was kind of the part that I guess was the most unique part is like when you see him in the ring and you see him putting a fork on somebody's forehead and he's making them bleed and he's scaring everybody. And then you come home and, he's just that loving, joking type of, he just flipped the switch, really is what it was like. And so that was probably the most unique thing is just seeing him turn that switch on, then turn that switch off. It was really cool to see, actually. Yeah. To witness and experience. Yeah.
How much of that suddenly inspired you to train as a wrestler?
When you have somebody in your family who does wrestling, that should be a bigger like eye opener for you and like a open door for you to learn and understand like what the business is like. And for me, I really just did not take that opportunity like I should have. I personally wanted to like do music, man. So I never even really, I wanted to wrestle always since I was little watching my uncle, but part of me also wanted to try to go out in life and do my own thing and try to make a career for myself in a different area. And so music was what I did for a very long time, bro. I performed all over Texas. I've been to South by Southwest. I don't know how many times. I know South by just passed. This is like my second year not there, and it feels so weird. It's like not going to WrestleMania or something. But yeah, man, that was definitely one of the things that I just wanted to do my own thing. And I'm not going to say I regret it because everything you do makes you into who you are. But I definitely wish I would have started wrestling sooner. The music was cool, but deep down, I always wanted to do wrestling. I just wanted to try to do my own thing. And after a while, when you have like a calling that just keeps pulling at you, like, man, I can't tell you how many times I can go perform and rap a rap concert. And it was a good feeling. I love being a showman. I love performing in front of people. But then you got to see like you got to see WWE, man, and just pro wrestling in general, and see how these people are bigger than life, and like just so much that they do. I was like, not trying to be big headed, but I'm pretty sure I can do some of this. Like, and so really that's what it came down to is eventually music just, I wouldn't say hit a standstill. It just, life in general, man. I wasn't getting what I wanted in life. And then, my Uncle Pops was like, hey, man, wrestling is always here. If you ever want to, try and like follow the footsteps. And me and Uncle Pops had a conversation about it, and he pulled me in. He said, come on, I got to school and let's get to training. And so that's what happened. And it was the greatest decision I've ever made in my life, hands down.
Because I'm curious, like wrestling and music is still
Yeah.
performative in its nature. Of course, wrestling is very physical. It takes a lot out of you. How different is it being a performer on stage compared to what you're doing things in the ring?
The best way to compare it is like, what we do in the ring is like the NFL, and rapping and stuff is more like NCAA. Like, it's just a different level. It
Okay.
like for example, with rapping, I have to rap lyrics on the microphone. In wrestling, I have to cut promos on the microphone. And rapping, you have to write
Hmm.
lyrics to songs. And wrestling, you gotta sometimes, depending on who you are, you write promos or you write ideas for things that you want to talk about or whatever, whatever. And then, like with rapping, you got to jump around, dance, you got your choreography and stuff like that. Well, wrestling is somewhat the same way. Just wrestling is just way more, like you said, way more of a toll on the body, way more, it takes way more out of you, but it's way more, what's the word? Wrestling is like, man, it just reminds me of music, but on another level. Like, I had fun doing music, but I've never had as much fun as I do when I wrestle, for sure. Cause see, with wrestling, man,
Because I'm curious, because like,
oh, my fault. I was
yeah,
just gonna say with wrestling, man, it's like it blended the two things that I love the most in my life, and that's one being a performer, but two, like, competition and being an athlete. When I was in high school, I did a lot of sports. Like, I did wrestling, ironically, football, track. I did a lot, and so that's always kind of been with me. And so with music, I didn't get that itch. Never got to get scratched, and so a lot of me wanted to get back into being
hmm.
an athletic, you know what I mean, and just picking back up from where I was in high school. So wrestling, it's like the best of both worlds, man.
Because of course, with music, it's a lot of it is songwriting, and rap music has its own flair of a genre. When you started writing music during your time, what were some of those themes that really stood out to you writing songs that lead you to be at a South by Southwest or any venue here in the state of Texas?
So my fault. Just so I can understand the question one more time, like, what exactly do you mean? Like when I was writing songs, like,
Yeah, when you were writing songs, and like what were some of the themes that you loved to write about
oh,
and it caught
gotcha,
attention to a lot of people that to a point that you are at
gotcha,
a
gotcha.
South by Southwest or somewhere in Texas.
Yeah,
So
no, for
that makes
sure.
sense.
So like with the themes and stuff that I used to write with music, um, there was a period in time like between 2000, I don't know, like 2013 all the way up to like 2018, man, where music and rap was just like cringe, bro. Like, it was a time where like a lot of people were able to rap and
Right.
just anybody could get in the studio and anybody can put a song out, and for a long, like, that's where the whole mumble rap thing came from. And so, for me,
Yeah.
I had to be different. I could not do that. So I did a lot more like positive music. Like I used to do music with my wife, and we made songs about like serious topics like sexual assault. We made topics about suicide awareness. We talked about things that were really like try to inspire people and make a difference in people's lives. Like, instead of just music being another thing that they use to just turn up and get drunk or whatever, like, we used our music to reach people and try
Hmm.
to inspire them in a positive way. So So by no means like do I ever regret the music that I did. I touched a lot of people and met amazing people along the way. But yeah, that was the type of themes that we would write. And that was the type of stuff that I would try to, like lean towards. And that was the type of artist I was. Yeah.
When someone approached you and it's like, holy crap, I love what you're doing as a songwriter. What was that like? Because oftentimes, like with music, you won't know until someone says, "Oh, okay, that's good." Like when someone said that to you, and you're like, "Good job," or if they're at a show, they love what you're doing as a musician. What was that
It's
like?
a good feeling, man. Anytime that you kind of get recognition for something that you've done, it feels good, but also whenever you kind of talk to those people that kind of talk to you more on a personal level and they kind of explain to you like, hey man, the stuff that you're talking about helped me get through some of the stuff I was going through. Like that's where the whole making a song thing turns into a whole nother thing. And it turned into like therapy for some people and things like that. So when people would come up to us and they would tell us like, what I'm saying, that they liked our song or it moved us, or it actually happened very often. We had like video packages almost every show where there were people that really were just touched. They were touched, man.
Oh,
And so it was a great feeling. That's probably one of the things that probably kept me doing it as long as I did. Like there was always like for while I was doing music, I always had the thought in my head, like, man, I wish I could be wrestling. I wish I could be
mm,
wrestling. I'd watch Raw, I'd watch SmackDown. Sometimes I couldn't even watch it because it's like, man, I want to do that so bad that I can't even watch it, man. It's gonna eat at me. And
ah,
so that's just why I'm glad I came to a point in my life where I was like, man, you're gonna start getting older and what, you're just gonna wrestle in your next life? What if there's no next life? You're gonna not wrestle in the one you had? And that was
mm,
a serious, like personal moment for me where I had to sit down and kind of talk with myself and realize what I really wanted in this life. And that's when I realized that, dude, I'm tripping if I'm not wrestling. And that was just me trying to get into wrestling. I didn't
right.
even understand what it was until I got into it. And once I got into it, I definitely, like, I would have been stupid. I always said reconnecting, but yeah, I
Right.
would have been,
Because the one thing to go back
yeah,
into it,
yes. It
good,
was something that had to be done, man. My life wouldn't have been fulfilled if I wouldn't have. I had this thought that it was like, man, when you're on your deathbed and you're thinking about like all the things that you wish you would have did, what's the one thing
right.
that would probably kill you right then and there and on your deathbed? And it was the fact that
Mm,
I never wrestled. It's like, especially like having an uncle in the business where it's like, yeah, man, it's not, I'm not saying at all that, what I'm saying, I got any different treatment or anything like that. But to at least have somebody in the business to give you more information and to kind of help you have a better understanding, that was something that Pops provided for me. And it, it made a big difference in my career for sure. My short career is only been a little.
the motivation was there for sure. Because yeah, the motivation was there for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
To go back into wrestling, of course, was it a rocky start for you training, or did all of your time being an athlete did that make it easier for you to take that bump so many
So,
times?
being an athlete definitely does make a difference for sure. But at the end of the day, this is something that we all have to learn in our own way. And so while yeah, it was easier because I had an athletic background, that's just one little part. The bumps is just one part of this whole thing that we do. And
Right.
so where some people are going to be good in certain areas, other people are going to be good in other ones. So you can come out hot out the blocks thinking that you got it, but you're going to run into something that you struggle with. And that's like one of the beauty parts about being a student, man, is that this thing that we do, it really never ends. We never stop learning, and it's like one of the funnest parts of it. It really is.
Because how has creativity changed from writing music to learning your move set and learning your spots? Is there a difference or similarities that you've gone through as a wrestler that creativity will still have its mark in what you're doing things in the ring?
With the creativity aspect, um, With music, I mean, I would say that, it does kind of correlate a little bit on both ends. But wrestling really is, like I said, man, it's really its own monster itself. Like everything that I did in music, a lot of it helps me with what I do in wrestling today in different areas, and sometimes even areas that you might not like suspect. One thing about it is like music did not like get me ready. Well, it did kind of prepare me to be a wrestler. I will say that I'm a better wrestler today or a better performer today because of my experience being a performer in music. So I can't like knock music. But when I
Okay.
tell you that there's a lot that I had with music that I could not bring over. There was a lot of new stuff to learn in wrestling. And a lot of like rewiring to
Mm.
do because it is still an entertainment and it's an art, but it is different. So yeah, I had to make adjustments.
Okay. No, and I was thinking about that too, because oftentimes when when you're training, of course, you had some time off due to injury. On your time off leading up to your comeback, what were you doing? What were some perspectives that you've learned throughout all your time training and doing these matches over at AEPW? Like, what were some of those lessons that you've learned over time that lead to your comeback with T Ray? We'll talk about that later. But what were some of those lessons that were on your mind as you started to recover from that
Well,
injury?
when you're hurt and you're out, it's such a bad thing. Like, and it's one of those things that if you haven't been injured and been out of action before, you really can't understand. But for anybody that has, and there's even people that have been on this podcast before that I've seen that have had to come back from injury, and it's a mental battle,
Mm.
man. It's a struggle. You got to continuously see all your peers and everyone you're training with basically just passing you by because this is a thing that you have to do every day. I mean, you have to progress and work
Mm.
on this craft every day to keep perfecting it. And so I was out for 6 months, and yeah, that's a long
That's
time to kind of
long.
just sit back and this is a school at APW, so I had to sit back and watch the new class come and go, and it just happened
Mm.
it happened. I mean, I guess the injuries will never happen at a good time for anybody, but for me, it happened just at the worst time, man. I was commissioner of AAPW.
Okay.
I was getting a lot of heat at the time. I was having a blast, being a pain in Uncle Pops's ass. And, man, there were even talks of, championship opportunities and stuff like that. And so when I had to sit down, I guess that was the hardest part was, being realistic with my body. Cause your mind is going to say like, all right, man, we're hurt, but are we
Okay.
that hurt? Like, and then like, you'll think like, okay, Monday was pretty bad, but is it
Right.
that bad today? Like, let's just get back in there, man. Like your mind will really mess with you, man. It'll try to get you back in there before you're ready. And that's a whole problem that most people probably deal with when they're coming back from injuries is coming back too soon. I probably actually am a victim to that
Mm.
myself. I'm still a little kind of struggling from my injury, but I'm working around it. I'm making it work. I'm being safe. So but it definitely can take a toll on you, man. It uh it drains you, man. It really does. Having to just sit back, and I used to feel like a lion in a cage. Watching like all the other lions get to eat and I'm
Mm.
just sitting there starving. That's really what it felt like. And then not only that, I really don't know which one was worse. But at the time that I was injured, Uncle Pops kept me as commissioner on the show. So while I had to be away from the ring, I still had to be in the ring and on the microphone and a part of the show and play this character. And having to do that, but not being able to work the match, now we're going back to the whole what I was missing when I was doing music thing. I could perform all day, but I didn't get to have the competitive aspect.
Right.
I didn't get a chance to show people what I can do physically. And so, I mean, yeah,
Mm.
so that was bittersweet too. There was times where I just wish that I wouldn't have been commissioner at that time at all and just was completely away from it. And then there's times that make me feel like being commissioner is what actually kept me in it because maybe I just would have said, forget it. Who knows, man? That's the one thing about Uncle Pop. So one thing about Uncle Pops, man, is he's been on my ass. He
Right.
He literally
Could,
did not let me quit one time where I almost quit. Um,
mm,
like twice actually, and he did like some crazy shit just to make sure that I didn't quit. But that's Uncle Pops for you, and that's not even because I'm his nephew. That's just who he is.
mm,
Uncle Pops will do that for any of his students because he really just believes in us like that, and he really is like our number one fan. He tells us that all the time. But it's not until moments like that where you realize that it's the truth. Because when you're about to quit the thing that you love the most, and then someone hops on a microphone and announces a match between y'all two in a few months to force you to have to stay in wrestling, that's what happened. I mean, I don't know, I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but he shot on me on a promo for real, and basically did not let me quit. Um,
mm.
so I owe so much to Uncle Pops because without him, I would not be where I am at all, and I wouldn't be where I'm going.
Because it's fascinating too, where like and that's how much of a big heart Pops has. Like he mentioned it on when I had him on, that the people who have been working up in the ranks, like like the Ricky Starks, the Vert Vixens, the Jasmine Allures, it shows like how much like Pops gives 100% to whoever
Yeah.
he's giving training to, because
Hmm.
like I think he mentioned it to me and like on the side that like he succeeded in his own volition, but he wanted to share the success to everybody because he's been in
Hmm.
that road before. So that's the
Yeah.
only thing that's fascinating about Pops is like he gives his heart to everybody, and at the same time, like he'll support you all the way.
Yep. All the way. That's and is man. I guess, like I said too, you never really know how much you need somebody like that in your life until the time comes. But that kind of stuff makes a difference for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So you had your time off, and then the match with T Ray. I love how the storyline was leading up to T Ray, because you were coming into AAPW, you're trying to reclaim your spot. To be in the academy, but to come back from injury and facing T Ray, who's a legend in his own right,
Yes.
to to
Huge shout out to T Ray.
to have him work with you, how much has that been meaningful coming back from injury, working that match?
Oh man, now you want to talk about the real stuff. So man, that whole
That's
situation
what the
was
get
like,
to know part comes in.
yeah, it was deep, man. There was so much about that. T Ray was somebody that in some ways kind of helped mentor me in some ways. I know that he retired, and so he kind of stepped away for a little while. As like I said, you have to, because if you
Mm,
stick around and you can't play, but you got to watch everybody else have fun, it will eat you. And so I completely understand
mm,
um like why he took some time away. But man, even in that time away and even during my injury, me and him had conversations, man, and he was just so positive, and he was a big inspiration as well, like for me to try to get back in that ring. And I had no
mm,
idea that the first opponent that I would face coming back from a 6 month injury was going to be T Ray. I That threw me for a loop because in this wrestling business, man, it's levels to this stuff, man. You start training, and then you graduate from wherever you're training from, and then you start taking matches on the outside. You start making debuts. Then next thing you know, you start working bigger opponents. Then you start getting into bigger promotions, and so it's a ladder. And so the T-Ray thing was like one of my first steps up the ladder, which was I'm truly honored that
mm.
I got that match, that T Ray was willing to give me that match, that Uncle Pops was willing to book that match, because um, T Ray is a Texas legend. There ain't no way around it.
Mm.
He's worked everybody and worked everywhere, and his name is so like highly valued on the indie scene here in Texas. Like it's a
Right.
real thing. And so he didn't have to he didn't have to give me that match, man, but he did, and we told a fun story. I got to talk about his baby daughter. I told you, man, back at that time I was getting a lot of
I
heat.
forgot about that.
Um, but yeah, man, the T Ray match definitely was like a a pivotal moment in my early career. It still is. That's my favorite match of 2024. Still, I have it written down. Um, it was an amazing experience, man. Huge shout out to T Ray. That's my guy, bro. Brother.
Yeah. Cause like what's nice too, because I forgot about that baby daughter. I was like, Jesus Christ, you went south on your first match back. But I digress. To have, of course, like the booking started to fly in coming back. And did it take time for you to have the frequency of booking first? And we'll talk about it later now, because now you have so many matches coming in and people that are willing to work with you. Did the bookings come slowly from that match with T Ray?
Man, what's crazy is once I came back from injury, and I wouldn't say that the booking started coming in because of the T Ray match. I'm not saying that that didn't have anything to do with it either. But one thing I can say is I worked a few more matches at AAPW after the T Ray match, and it wasn't
Okay.
long before I had my first outside booking. Um, and then just a month after that, I had my debut at Baracho, and that was like, now me and you know about Baracho, and that's a
Yep.
beautiful story
Yep.
that me and you've already talked about before. I'll let you pitch that, but that's a beautiful story in itself. And then after Baracho, man, once the new year started in January, I started the tag team, Most Wanted, you know what I'm saying? Most Wanted, we in this thing. But once we started the tag team with Xavier Gotti, man, we started getting booked. We started getting booked a lot. Like we're basically booked every single weekend up until July. I just made my out of state debut singles just this past weekend in Arkansas. We got a few more states lined up: Vegas, Georgia, freaking our Arizona, like Alabama. And this is, I don't know, for me, it's just kind of moving fast because I am still a student. Well, we all are always still students, but I mean, like, literally, like,
Mm,
I still have to graduate AAPW. That's something that's going to be coming up here soon. There's just so much that I still have to do before, like, I want to leave the nest, per se. And it's just scary because I just feel like I'm kind of getting nudged out of the nest and getting pulled out because and
mm,
that's another thing that I owe to Uncle Pops, man, is Uncle Pops could have told me that, you know what I'm saying, no, you're not a graduate yet. You're not going to work on the outside. He could have let me get Baracho and could have said, no, that's it. You know, let's keep working, which of course he always says, let's keep working. But Uncle Pops has truly been such a huge support in allowing me to go make a name for myself as quickly as I am. And I say that humbly. I ain't nobody, man. I'm just saying, like,
mm.
we're getting booked, we're making noise,
Yeah.
and man, I really owe it to Pops, man. I really owe it to Uncle Pops because without him and his blessing on allowing me to do this, because everybody doesn't get to do this. But I know a lot of it had to do with my injury too. Like if I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been out for 6 months, I would have graduated by now. Things like that. So I guess he just took that into perspective and he understands. Me and Uncle Pops worked so much for so long, for like a year, telling them one of my most favorite stories of all time of just me being the world's greatest nephew that ironically was the world's worst nephew. And always being a pain in
Right.
Uncle Pops' ass and really getting experience with getting heat with the crowd and really pissing people off. And um, I owe it to Pops, man. Without him, I wouldn't be anywhere where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
Gotta
because
give
the
glory to
one
God
thing I
too,
kind
though.
of
Gotta give
noticed
glory to
too.
God too. God is without God,
Yeah.
I truly would not be where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Because the
yeah.
one thing I noticed too, where going out of state and seeing your work reach to outside Texas's borders, and I say this in terms of champions, but I'll say it in this angle. How much has trust been placed so much on those out of state bookings, and how much of it is more of um, getting your name out there? How has that been played into how you're doing things out of state?
So just so if I can understand the question right, I mean, when it comes to all the bookings that I've been taking recently anyway, it's mainly just to I'm just getting my feet wet. I'm just trying to go work and
Okay. Okay.
debut at as many places as I can, just to kind of see where I like to work and who's willing to take care of me and stuff like that. And there's a lot that goes to it, but that's basically what I'm doing right now. Is I'm just going around trying to see where it is that I really would like to work going forward. And so even with the out of state stuff, I mean, yeah, it definitely has a lot to trying to make a name for myself.
Okay.
We're trying to build my resume. That's the only way to get your price up, huh? Right?
Yeah,
I
exactly. You got to have the experience. I mean, that's how it
yeah.
is.
So, but that's some of the stuff these are just little goals for me. That's why I'm not
Mm,
somebody who's like really rushing into this, even though it's happening fast. I'm not rushing into this. I'm not in some rush to go start wrestling in Arkansas or move to another state, or I'm not in a rush for any of that. I love where I'm at right now. I have a lot of training still
mm,
left. Still a lot to learn here at AAPW. And so, for the most part, just going out of state is just trying to make a name for myself, get my name out there more, continue to
okay.
work with people, network with people so that I can, that's just kind of how this works. And it's a lot like how music was. Music's the same way. In rap, they call it a collab. Well, every match
Hmm.
you do is a wrestling collab. That's why we do promos. That's why we hype up the match. That's why we wrestle each other. It's a collaboration of two brands coming together to make something. So a lot of this stuff is home to me because of music. A lot of it, luckily for me, like that's why I can't knock my musical journey because it definitely gave me somewhat of like a head start when it comes to the wrestling business side of things.
Being an extra as part of your wrestling journey, and TNA is having this resurgence now that they're partnered with WWE. But as an extra, what was it like taking a preview and seeing what? Well, it's a big machine. It's
Yeah.
not WWE big machine, but a
But
bigger
no, you're right.
machine
It
than
is
what you're
a
doing
peek.
in your
It is a peek
career.
through the curtain. You're right. It definitely is to get
Yeah,
you more acclimated to the weather of things. I know what you mean. And
yeah.
this is why I got to give glory to God, bro, because like he is really the different experiences that I've had in my life have really like led me to this. So, like I said, music was such a pivotal thing for me to be able to navigate through wrestling business. Well, another one of those things is what we're talking about here is the extras work. So I actually used to work at the arena here in Austin, Texas, the Frank Irwin Center. And so
Okay.
multiple times a year, SmackDown and Raw would come through. And me as a stagehand, which was what my position was, my job was to like pull all the stuff off the trucks, set up the video wall. We helped with the ring. We did all that stuff. So when it comes to being backstage at an event and understanding that vibe backstage of it being like show day and all this production going around and all these meetings and all of it all together. It was something that I've already experienced through working as a stagehand. So like, um, so I say that to say that when I went to work for TNA to do the extras work, it felt a lot like home. It just, it wasn't
Okay.
like it wasn't like it wasn't mind blowing. I was grateful for the opportunity, like glory to God for sure for giving me the opportunity. But it wasn't like mind blowing or I wasn't like starstruck or anything like that. It was more like going to work. It felt
Okay.
natural. It felt like I can see myself there. And it's crazy because you were just mentioning like when you're going to other states and then people are recognizing you going across other states. Well, I just said that I debuted in Arkansas this past weekend, and ironically, someone that saw me in Dallas at SOAR Championship Wrestling went to Arkansas to see me again, and they were talking about how they've been seeing me with the TNA extra stuff, and they were talking about how they can see me being in TNA, and they think that I'm going to make it within a few years. And I had a fan just randomly walk up and tell me this. So earlier when I was talking about music and how the people would come up to me and tell me, hey, your song really changed my life, or this is the equivalent to that. You know what I mean? On the wrestling
Okay.
side. So like to really have someone walk up to me and tell me that they believe in what I'm selling and they think that I can make it on the next level, we have to think that because we have to be confident or else we'll never get anywhere. But for somebody
Right.
else to really tell you, it kind of puts it in perspective for you that, hey, man, we're on to something here. You know what I'm saying? And we just got to keep pushing this and keep this going. So, yeah, it's truly, man, wrestling has been, like, I love pro wrestling, man. It's the most craziest journey that I've had so far.
And with the year, and it's 2025, it's still fairly a new year, but
Mhm.
what are, of course, with the bookings that you have and the stuff that you're doing with AAPW, hopefully you'll get the graduate match soon, but we'll wait till that bridge gets crossed.
Yeah.
What are some milestones and um, goals that you have this year?
So, since I just made my out of state debut, I'm one of those guys that's just going to reach for the stars, man. I'm trying to make
Mm.
my out of the country debut next, my international
Okay.
debut. So that's something that is on my goals for this year. Another one that I would love is the opportunity to work at Row. That's something that
Okay.
I really, really want to do. There's more too. I mean, the tag team stuff, man. This year, tag team's my priority. I love
Okay.
what we got going on with Most Wanted, man. We're doing some really entertaining stuff. People are loving it. People are hating it. We got people talking. And so, trying to take as much tag team gold as I can to show, and like that's kind of like, yeah, to keep building my resume as well as a singles competitor, but also as a team to where we can become recognized as one of the top teams in Texas. That's, as a competitor, I know I have to say things like that, but I mean that for real. And it's nothing against any of the other teams. There are amazing teams in Texas. We have some amazing teams, and that's all that I want is for my name to be up there with those teams. So that's definitely another goal. Something that eluded me all this time at AAPW. That's definitely a goal. Is I want my first freaking belt at AAPW.
Yep.
I had to go win another belt before I won one at AAPW, and I feel some type of way about that. Um,
That's the big goal right there.
yeah, it's like I know that I know it's just a home thing, and it's a home belt, but AAPW means a lot to me. I've given a lot to this school. Um, I've given a lot of my time to, a lot of love and support, and the AAPW will forever be a part of my legacy. And so I have to win a title. I wanted to be a Grand Slam, but unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm getting. I don't want to say this because it sounds like cocky, but like I'm getting too many bookings recently to where I can't even like take any AAPW bookings. So I don't even have an
Mm.
opportunity to even, to even have a number one contenders match, or I can't do any of that because I just can't be here. So, and that kind of sucks. It does. But at the same time, what do I do? Just stop, what I'm saying, getting my name out there to come. I don't know, man. So it's tough, and it's still something that I'm working through and juggling, but I'm just trying to make the most out of it.
It's a full circle moment for sure. It's a full
Oh,
circle. Like
when I win my first
it will
title, it definitely will
always
be full
come
circle.
right back around, and then there
Yes.
you are with the America's champion. You know what I mean?
See, speaking of full circle, it reminds me of what we were talking about with Baracho. So, see, you didn't pitch that out. So, the thing about Baracho, man, was still that's a moment that I share with you that I will always remember, and that's just being a student from AAPW, going to another show, a local promotion, and trying to get noticed, trying to get an opportunity, um, and as a pro wrestler, sometimes you'll go to a promotion, you'll try to help, you'll like help set up, you'll help any way you can, and you're just hoping,
Right.
that they might be able to find something for you where they can use you, maybe some pre-show stuff or anything, right? A battle royal, whatever. And then, but a lot of times that doesn't happen because I mean, it's a business. They can't do that kind of stuff. But when that does happen,
Mm.
it kind of hits you. It's like, ah, man, I wish something could have happened. So that day in particular, I remember like I'm in the locker room with everybody, and this is before I left. So this is like my first taste of being outside of AAPW, and I'm in the locker room and I'm helping set everything up and I'm doing all this and all that. And then once it comes showtime, it's like, all right, now you got to go out there and go sit in the crowd. And that's the part that's just like, it hurts, man. It's hard to do that. And so I remember sitting there with you, and that's all I could think about, man, was just like, I belong here. I'm going to be here. I see myself here. Like, you could say I spoke it into existence. You could say whatever you want to say, but I remember
Manifest.
telling you, like, I'm going to be at Baracho. I think I said before the end of the year, and I
Oh
made
no,
that
that's right.
happen.
We had that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
And
we
it
were
did
just in
happen
the seat
before the end of the
together, and we
year.
were like, one of these days, I'll be at Barrage. I'm like, okay. No, I mean, I took it to heart, but of course, that will manifest in its divine timeline, you know. And then
Yeah.
suddenly you're at the cookout. You're like, okay, God threw a curveball at us. So,
Yeah, and it happened so fast, man. And it's just like, and shout out to Brad. Brad's awesome people, man, too. Like, I love Baracho. I love to see what they're doing. I love to see
right.
the growth and where they're going. So, um, Brad was the one who gave me my first outside promotion booking. So I always like show respect to him. I owe him that. And I appreciate him for real. Cause he took an opportunity on a green kid, and, I had an amazing time. And, it in some ways started the ball to start rolling for me to start getting other outside bookings. So,
Mm.
yep, it all is part of the
So
journey, bro.
exactly. Oh, this was fun. This was fun. We talked so much,
Hmm.
whether it's in AAPW or if we're hanging out on the side, and
Heck yeah,
we
bro.
did have deep dives, but not like this at this level. So
Mhm.
like to have your story shared, and this is just another page of the podcast book that I'm doing, and I really appreciate like having these side conversations sometimes because like your heart is on your sleeve. Like despite
Mhm.
what you're going through, you always have that heart on your sleeve because that's how you are. Like you can feign certain things, but the honesty is what really
Yeah.
kind of stood out to me. It sucks. Recency bias was a thing. I would have had you sooner, but recency bias has its own issues. But that's for another time. But I
Nah, bro,
really
we here.
appreciate having this conversation too. So
Heck yeah, bro. Nah, man, I've been supporting the podcast since day one, man. Like, look, got my shirt and everything. Look, we on to the next. But so yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you just giving me the platform to share my story, share my journey. Hopefully, it can inspire some people. Hopefully, I show love to the right people. Yeah, and hopefully, if y'all see your boy on here and you want a piece of the fuego, let me know. Let's get it going. Let's book it, brother. Let's book it. Especially if you got a tag team belt, you know what I'm saying? So me and my boy Gotti, we'll come snatch that real
oh my
quick.
goodness. There you go. So we'll end our conversation with this, and I always say this to our guests. And if you're in the same room as an adolescent you, and you're with him face to face, what would you like to talk to him about?
Man, that's such a hard one, especially with like the multiverse stuff that's been happening over the years, like with all the theories about that and just my
We'll
thing
go
is
back to
like
the future. Let's just go with that.
time travel and all that. So like the thing is about it, man, is like I look at it two different ways, two sides of the coin. One, I could tell myself everything that I feel like I should have did different, right? Like I could say,
Okay.
hey man, start wrestling sooner, stop doing music sooner. I could have said all these things that could have made a difference. But on the flip side of that coin, every journey that you go through, every day that you have in your life, every experience that you have molds you to be the person that you are and to experience the things that you
Mm,
experience. So, I mean, I know you've seen this in time travel movies. Like, you go back and you mess up one thing, you can mess up everything. So, to
right.
tell myself, to change things, it's tough because then I wouldn't be where I'm at. Um, and I'm one of those kind of people, man. I think deeper. I don't just but I mean, like to answer the question, I guess on a basic level, there are a few things I would tell myself, and that's just to take this life more serious, man. Like there are a lot of days
Mm,
that I spent that where I just chilled for the day. I didn't go grind or chase my dreams every single day, and that's something that I would have told myself, like, yes, don't waste a day at all. No matter if you're like on the path that you want to be on or not, like don't waste a day and waste these experiences, because then you're ultimately wasting what you become. And so, yeah, that's kind of a hard question for me. I really don't know like what I would tell myself other than just grind harder. Um, but other than that, most people, yeah, would tell themselves all the things that they feel like they should change. That's probably one thing that I
Mm.
would tell myself is what to stay the same. I would have told myself to keep being the good person that I am, to keep being genuine, to keep being someone who loves and respects other people. And that's something that, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted that part to change for sure. So I would have told myself that, and just told myself to just get ready for the ride, because a ride is coming. And what a ride it has already been, man. It's and it
There you
hasn't
go.
even started,
So,
man. I'm still in preseason, basically, man. So
what are you, the Outrunners? You're like rookies for life or something?
heck yeah, man.
Oh my goodness. But I have nothing left to give. You have the floor, and where can we find you?
Well, yeah. Well, hold on. I got a question for you, man. Hold on.
Oh boy, here we go.
Let me see.
Okay.
Let me flip the script. Let me ask you some stuff. So, all right.
All right.
Just so the people that are watching this that have never seen me or heard of me before, um, who is Marcello De'Campos to you? And yeah, I guess I would just ask that, like, who is Marcello to you, and like, how have I influenced or impacted you as a fan of wrestling? Like, if there's ever been
Ooh.
anything in a match that I did where you're
Ooh,
like,
that's my first chair tap. Okay.
yeah,
That's
man,
my first chair
yeah,
tap in this entire series.
I want to know what it is that you see in Marcelo. Like what stands out to Marcelo. That way I can keep working on things like that and keep taking those things to the next level, man. I gotta talk to my people, man.
Okay. Okay. Marcelo, in terms of confidence, is one thing. Confidence and how do I say? The word escapes me. Oh, confidence, boldness. The one guy who will go out of their way and become an impact in in the wrestling scene. You can lie. It's the old Eddie Guerrero trick of lie, cheat, and steal to get to
Hmm.
win every match that you have.
Hmm.
If you are keeping the heel thing, that's what I wanted to see is
Hmm.
doing ways and doing the most outlandish things for you to get yourself over in a
Yeah,
match. So
yeah.
it's a mixture of confidence, a bit of boldness, and this is a very old word. It's the daring do to get things done to get
Hmm.
yourself over in a
Hmm.
wrestling match.
I feel that. I appreciate that too, man. That's some of the stuff that I pride myself in. I haven't been able to work heel in a while, but heel is so fun, man.
You have
Just
the power. You're like
yeah,
it's like a Palpatine. Like you have the power, and it's like
man.
do it, do it,
Yes,
do
no, I'm telling you, man, it really is. It really is the most fun I've ever had. Like you said, the Eddie Guerrero is definitely a big inspiration of mine for sure. Like, because as heels, you know, our job is to, you know, of course, get the baby face over, um, and to get heat,
yeah.
you know, of course. But my thing is like, yeah, that's our job and that's what everybody does. So my thing was just trying to figure out a
Mm,
different route to do it. And of course, in wrestling, like everything's already been done. So, you know, you can't really do anything new for the first time. But that's why I took inspiration from Eddie for sure, was to like, if I'm going to cheat in a match or if I'm going to win in a match, like you said, there's almost nothing I won't do. And that was the one thing that I loved about
yeah.
Marcelo as a heel is you always knew no matter what, this guy had a trick up his sleeve. Um, and
Oh
soon as you
yeah,
think it's
that's
over, it's
because
not
I
over. And
remember the first show I was on was oh I'm so sorry. The very first show that I was on as a viewer was the drag show,
Mhm.
and you were the commissioner then, and you were trying to put like, of course, like the drag performers are doing their thing and putting the money in the bucket. You would sneak in $1 in your pocket. I was like, you son of a biscuit! Why would you do that? So like you find ways to hustle just so that you won't, just so that you get your way out of it. So that's the only thing that I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, that's some of my funnest stuff, and I just gotta figure out. I'm just now getting more into doing face work, so I gotta kind of find my niche there.
Okay.
But just know that if you see Marcello and I'm not the good guy that night, get ready for the ride. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we are a little bit over time, but we'll let that slide. But anyways, where can we find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Marcello.Fuego. You can find me on Facebook, GQ Jackson. You can find me on YouTube. That's 808 Wrestling. I don't do the Twitter and the TikTok and stuff. You can follow my new tag team, Wrestling Most Wanted, on Instagram. Definitely follow what we doing. We got a lot of stuff coming up, and I'm just really excited because I've always wanted to do tag team wrestling anyway. Like, that was something we didn't really get to talk about, but that's because we talked about how we're going to come back on and we'll do something with me and my partner soon. So we'll talk more about Most Wanted at that time. But for anybody who's been following the journey, I just really want to say I appreciate y'all. God bless y'all, and you as well, bro. Like, I love to see what you're doing. I love to see all these journeys and all these stories that you're getting out for us and giving us a platform, to connect with people that haven't seen us and stuff, man. So, shout out to you, bro, and keep doing what you're doing, man. I love it. And no telling where it's going to take you either.
Thank you so much. Now, and I'm in the same grind as you, but I'm in a different outlet, but we're doing our own thing in the wrestling scene one way or another.
You're doing it for sure.
Awesome. So for those who are watching or listening here on YouTube or Spotify, thank you so much for tuning in. And Fuego over here. We're on to the next one.
On to the next. All right. Thank you, y'all.